everybody, welcome back to the channel. Great to be back here with you. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. So, it turns out our little friend here, the Guild JF30, has a big brother, a big blue brother, as it turns out. So, here we have yet another unbelievable guild. This is a JF30-12 in transparent blue. So on the headstock here, you'll see the words special edition. And that's kind of what this is, because Guild has never really been known for colored guitars. They're usually either natural or some kind of burst. But as luck would have it, I found this unbelievably rare blue Guild guitar. So, what's the deal here? This is a 1987-88 is kind of what the serial number tells me. Again, with Guild, in that era of the Westerly factory, you can't really pinpoint to the day that a guitar was made the way you could with like a Martin, for example. If you have a Martin serial number, I don't care how old the guitar is, they could tell you the day that thing was finished in the factory. They'll have a bill of material on it and everything. Not so much with Guild, but that's okay. But anyway, what we have is something from the mid to late 80s, very much like this fella here. A 12-string, which is, that's really Guild's swimming lane. I mean, they make the best 12 strings, I think, anybody, acoustic 12 strings, Rickenbacker could, maybe take the prize for the best electric 12s, but definitely for acoustics, you can't do much better than Guild, in my opinion. So, this one hits a lot of boxes for me. It's a jumbo, beautiful maple, back and sides. It's a 12 string and it's blue. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that from me, from Guild. We all know, as I've shown in previous videos, that the awesomeness factor on blue guitars is much higher than that of natural or burst. But just in case you missed that episode, take a look at my graph here, which provides proof that blue guitars are definitely a good percentage more awesome. See, there's the proof right there. So, hard to argue with data. I'm a scientist. I like data, and that's some clear data for me. So, anyway, this thing is quite unbelievable. It was a lucky find. It came from Texas. A little shop called Action Sound in Tyler, or just outside of Tyler. Not entirely sure about that. Gentleman named Kelly Barber runs that place, and it turns out he's a close personal friend of my close personal friend Randy over at Randy's Rhythm. So check out Randy's channel, Randy's Rhythm, and he's got some amazing videos and really cool stuff. So check him out too. So it's a small world when it comes to guitars. And anyway, I was really lucky to find this one. The tone on this thing is so unbelievable. It just, what can you say? It just resonates for days. I mean, the mic's probably not picking that up, but it just goes on. You could go have lunch and come back, and this thing is still going to be resonating, And the same is true of this one. The vintage thing is really coming through on these, and with it being an 80s guitar, this thing's close to 40 years old, and I guess that qualifies as vintage. I always think of vintage as mid 60s, maybe 70 back, but I'm getting older. It's kind of like where I live, there's this oldies radio station. And when I used to listen to it, you'd hear like Elvis and Bobby Vinton. And now they're playing songs like from my high school era. It's like, wow, how did that happen? When did I get that old? But You can't stop that clock, friends. But the good news is, you can get these guilds in that era, which is a great era for guilds, 70s and 80s. Unlike Gibson and some other brands, which those were not the best years at all for acoustic guitars, not by a long shot. Those were prime years for guild, and you can get those at a fraction of what you're going to pay for like a vintage Gibson or definitely a vintage Martin. I mean, those things are getting really pricey. So, if you have an opportunity to check one out, I definitely would recommend it. The Westerly factory was open from like the early 60s, maybe 65 is when they moved from Hoboken, New Jersey, up to Westerly, Rhode Island. And that stayed open until 2001, and right around that time is when Fender bought the brand, and they just started moving them around. They took them out to California, then they moved them up to Tacoma, Washington. If Guild had a bad era, I would say, if anything, and they weren't really that bad, but the Tacoma, Washington ones, probably not their finest hour. I know, there's been some issues with bridges popping off and things like that. So, still great guitars, but not their prime stuff. Really, the most sought after stuff is definitely the Westerly, and also the New Hartford, Connecticut ones, where Ren Ferguson was running the factory, and that was like 2008 to 2014. That's when Fender sold Guild to Cordoba Guitars, and now they're back out in California, and they're making great stuff again. So, a very underrated brand, as I said over and over again. I mean, they should hire me, for sales. I am not endorsed by Guild. I'm not endorsed by anybody. I'm not, famous or popular enough for that. But I would definitely endorse Guild. I highly recommend them because whether it's their less expensive, imported stuff, and I've done a bunch of videos on that you can see, the F250, the D140, fantastic guitars for very, very low price. Or if you want to get something vintage, look around for these because, these guitars come in way under $2,000 for something this old and in really good condition. That's a good deal. That's Martin or something of that era. Gibson's going to cost you a lot more money, than that. Especially when it comes to stuff like this, which is a maple jumbo, all solid woods, obviously, and unbelievable craftsmanship. I mean, I just can't believe how great this thing sounds. I can't stop playing it. I've had it about a week now or so. And I am just very much in like with it and will soon be in love with it. So, a lucky find, another great Guild. This makes, I'm almost afraid to count, maybe 8 or 9 Guilds now, which is too many, but, I did sell one recently. I'm still having separation anxiety over that, but, you got to thin the herd a little bit once in a while. Even I do. So, but yeah, a real lucky find. What else can I tell you about this? Just like the regular 6-string JF30, it's an archback, no bracing, on the back, so a lot of projection, just a ton of projection. And again, really rare blue. That's not something Guild would do, but it was the mid '80s. And I think with the music scene that was going on at that time, they were probably trying to keep in the fold of what was happening. I think a lot of other brands were doing colors, pastel type colors, and, in addition to the naturals and the bursts. And it's in, just like this one, it's in remarkable condition. I mean, it's been played clearly, for those 40 years. People have enjoyed this guitar a lot. But all that said, the neck angle is great. The height of the action is perfect. Saddle is still pretty healthy. Still some room there for future adjustments. It's not a lot of checking on the lacquer. So, it's got some definitely got a lot of years ahead of playing, a lot more years than I probably do of life. But yeah, just a great find. Happy to have it, and I wanted to share this one with you. Speaking of guilds, I've got a really good shootout coming up with the Guild D140. I'm going to put that up against the Epiphone inspired by Gibson Hummingbird, because those are two guitars that I think have a great matchup in terms of price and construction and all of those things. And if you're thinking about one of those guitars, maybe that video will help you, make a decision or make you lean more toward one or the other, or get both, whatever. So that's coming up soon, so stick around. Before I leave, I almost forgot. I was actually traveling through Rhode Island last week, and I thought, well, I've always wanted to see the Guild factory, or whatever is there now, and so I found the address and popped by, and I saw the building. It's a beautiful old brick building, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And today it's a very large thrift shop. I think it's a charitable organization. I didn't really ask, but I'll look into that and maybe leave some information in it below. But I shot up just less than a minute's worth of video. Well, this is the original site of the Guild Westerly, Rhode Island guitar factory. It's been out of business since about 2001, I believe. And now my understanding is there's a thrift shop in here, which I may go scope out. But this is where so many amazing guitars were built from, I would say, the mid 60s up until 2001. All right, and here is the entrance to the thrift shop, and just another view of the building. It's mostly storage areas for the thrift shop these days. That I want to share with you. But it was kind of cool to be in the building where all of these amazing guitars were made. And it's been closed now for 23, 24 years. Not a lot of people really knew that. When I went inside, I asked questions, and they were kind of like, yeah, we heard something about that, but it's before our time. So anyway, but it was just kind of cool to be in that building, and see, where all of these amazing guilds had been made. Kind of wish they were still there, but life moves on. Anyway, let me play you out a little bit with this so you can hear just a little bit more of its awesomeness. And thank you again for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Please stay healthy and happy, and we'll see you very soon. Take it easy now.